Essentially, it's making sure that there's an effective transfer of business and property assets between generations on a farm. So that might involve a very small family holding where everything is simple and the farm's owned by the family, or it might be a much bigger farming business where they own land and also rent property either on long or short-term agreements. I think it's essential in three areas. Firstly, from a financial point of view, margins in farming are increasingly tight, and what one can't afford to do is waste either cost or lose revenue around something as significant as succession. Secondly, it's important to manage the transfer of assets in an effective way to mitigate any tax implications. And finally, and perhaps the most important, there's a real risk of strife between the generations if you don't manage succession effectively, and that's where valuers in particular can help in mitigating any conflict which may arise. It's still the case, and will be increasingly so, that the majority of farmers follow on the previous generation, and there are many farms in the country which have had the same family since 1900. But there are opportunities for people to move in. Traditionally, people think about renting county council farms. Unfortunately, there are far fewer of those than there used to be, about half the number now as there were in the 1970s. But there are one or two alternative routes which I think are more exciting. One of those, which we shouldn't lose sight of, is being employed in agriculture by larger farming companies. And that's a real opportunity, I think, particularly with UK expertise being sought overseas by farming companies as well. The other particular areas which haven't taken off to the extent that perhaps one or two of the authors had hoped is a share farming or contract farming arrangement. Formal share farming arrangements are still relatively lightly used, but where there is an opportunity, I think, is for younger farmers to establish themselves with a small base, and then through working assiduously in their community and with other local farmers, many of whom are reaching retirement age, to gain extra areas of land, whether under a short-term agreement or on a contract farming or license agreement with other farmers. So with a bit of imagination, the door isn't quite as closed as we all of us feared it might be. Many farming families will have existing advisors, whether they're solicitors or accountants, but many also will deal with their agents, some of them on a routine basis and some of them on very odd occasions when they might be selling some land or even just selling a few cattle at the market. As an agent and as an agricultural valuer, I'd say that's a good place to start, and certainly most agents have an appreciation of some of the legal, financial and social impacts of succession and some of the issues to consider. Also, if you're looking to break into the industry, then talk to established farmers. Talk to academics as well, go to the agricultural colleges, make sure you make a bit of noise and people get to know you in a positive way, and be as open and straightforward and transparent as you can be. Let people know what your aspirations are, and very often you'll get a degree of success.